Good evening, all, wherever you may be in the world. My name is Reverend William J. Johnson. This is a speech for my public speaking class. Today, we're going to be going over the roots of a highly misunderstood faith, paganism. In no way, just as a disclaimer, the information that we'll be presenting here in no way is this intended to be a very deep, comprehensive dive of the material. This is only intended to skim the surface. If you have more questions or if more information is needed, feel free to reach out to me here on YouTube. Otherwise, we will begin. As I have said, I am Reverend William Johnson. I'm associated with the Universal Life Church out of Modesto, California. I am currently attending Lenore Community College in Kinston, North Carolina for a double major in business administration and information technology. We will go ahead and begin our discussion. First, paganism, a deep dive. As you see here, there are a few opening statements I would like to make regarding this. There is a large, and I mean an extremely large misunderstanding of what paganism is, and I hope to shed a little light on that today. But we'll first begin by stating that paganism predates many of the modern religions, and you'll notice here on the slide I have noted as the Abrahamic faiths, those of being those associated with Judaism, Christianity, Islam, that whole Middle Eastern thing that they have going on over there. You also notice that there is a word there. That word is paganus. It is a Latin term that references country dweller. It's a term that was used back during the origins of the pagan faiths to refer to those that practiced it. We'll begin with a little bit of background. The origins of paganism go back to ancient Europe and heavily the Mediterranean Sea area. That's your ancient Rome, ancient Greece. Those of you that are familiar with Tunisia, that area, there also is some belief that the faith or may have originated up in the Norway, Scandinavia area. That's when we get in more of our Celtic faiths, which we really don't have time to go in today. But again, if you're more interested in that, feel free to contact me here on YouTube. We can discuss it. One of the highlights of paganism is that of a polytheist design. You may be familiar with Christianity, or as I've said before, the Abrahamic faiths that are the worship of one singular God, being that Yahweh or the divine creator, whatever that faith refers to them as. You'll notice that there is only one God and one God only in those faiths. Those are faiths that we know to be monotheist. Polytheist refers to the belief in multiple deities, gods, and goddesses. And from the origin of paganism, from Michael York, I'd like to make a note here. Something that he mentioned in his book, The Origin of Paganism, and this is not a direct quote. This is more of a paraphrase, but it's necessary to note where I'm garnering this from. In its most fundamental sense, paganism refers to the religious traditions that predate most of the modern religions, as I just spoke. But the number one thing here is that York specifically mentions the Greeks, the Romans, and the Celts as having practiced this faith. And we'll go to our next slide. Two the most common beliefs that you'll find in paganism, and how these things are practiced is it varies from practitioner to practitioner, but two of the most important is that nature is sacred and that they follow a calendar and very specific holy days. Myself, I am a practicing pagan. And to me, and when we say that nature is sacred, we do our best to go out of our way that we don't upset the balance of things. We are all about keeping balance. Whereas you may find some faiths that are, would say, well, we're going to say, well, we don't feel like anything bad can happen to us because God has us in our pocket. We don't necessarily believe that. We believe that the good has to come with the bad. We also believe that the world works in a cycle. A cycle is what we pagans know it as the wheel of the year. And you'll see here an example of that. There's a number of symbols in this, but that's kind of outside the corpus of what we're discussing today. But again, we can go into that at a later date and time if you would prefer. The views of practitioners, I've said there, it's so widely varies that it's very difficult to pin down a real centralized list of what those views are. Some practitioners are